So do you not believe the filing where she alleges that Mark had his friends gang rape her while he watched and laughed?
I believe it may have happened, but I think that she's the one who orchestrated it, not him. That was totally her MO. She was always the one trying to get people to come do things with her. That was her thing. Mark, I can't imagine Mark. I'd be surprised if he has that many friends, but I can't imagine Mark actually orchestrating that on his own. That's right up her alley, and definitely not something that I could see him doing. I'm sure that she was the orchestrator.
Yeah, it does sound like they certainly had a lot of kinks, right? But you have your own story about what you think they were sort of crafting to involve you. And tell me about that. What was it that happened?
So in 17, I got a phone call from Mark, and this was after our business deals had failed miserably, and I didn't want anything to do with him. And he was trying to get me to come down to San Diego and hang out, and I couldn't figure out what he wanted. I kept trying to figure out if it was business or whatever, and he was just always really vague about it. And eventually I just got sick of dealing with him and stopped returning his phone calls. But a month later, maybe 2 months later, a mutual friend of ours was at my place, and we were talking about it, and I just brought it up as a weird thing, that why was Mark bothering me? And he immediately knew the answer, and he said, "Oh, Tatyana wants to sleep with you while he watches." So apparently they were trying to get me to come down there and have sex with Tatyana while Mark watched for whatever reason.
Well, it's falling into place given the confessions they made on tape for the Showtime documentary for the Sanctum Club.
Yeah.
By the way, that Sanctum Club is no more. The owner sold it right before COVID, and he's moved on to do some other ventures. But talk to me a little bit about the mysterious names they chose as aliases while members of that sex club and as participants in the documentary. He called himself Vladimir. She called herself Ilana. But Vladimir is the name of her brother, whom she alleges sexually molested her, and her mother even says sexually molested her as a kid. It's odd.
Yeah, that's really odd. There's something wrong with her. That's a really weird thing to want him. I 100% know he didn't pick the name. That was her idea. He's not even that creative to come up with that name. So I'm sure she picked it, and why she would pick that name if that's who molested her brother, like that, even if he didn't molest her, just her brother's name, that's really bizarre.
What do you make of the whole Russian part of it all? I mean, I was looking up earlier where I thought she came from Russia. She didn't. She comes from the U.S. She grew up in like Bend, Oregon. Doesn't get more American than that, or not Russian. And her parents' names were like Vera and Brian. So what do you make of the whole Russian fixation?
I think it was just part of her MO. That was her. She had a character that she played all the time, and it was this Russian Barbie doll princess Equestrian. And I don't think any of it was true. It was all something she made up. I'm pretty sure her real name is Tanya. I don't think it's actually Tatyana. It's all this persona that she's made up, and maybe it's came from the childhood trauma, and she needed a character that she could become that wasn't tortured. I don't know, but there's none of it's real. It's all this character that she plays.
Erik, did she ever talk about her former husband? Because she was married to another super wealthy guy. I mean, I already mentioned that Mark inherited $26 million. Great work if you can get it. But there was another husband named Ken Wolcott, who she was only married to for 11 months. He's a big tech billionaire or tech entrepreneur and, professional sports team owner, plenty of money. Didn't go so well, and it was a pitched custody battle. Did you know anything about that?
Only that she had a billboard for Valatar, the show, made with her standing there looking as sexy as she could, holding a pole, kind of looked like an ad for a strip club. And she put it on I-5 where he had to drive every day. so that he would have to see it. So she definitely had a little vendetta going. Other than that, she didn't really talk about it much. She pretty much she obviously didn't like him, and she wanted to show him how wonderful she was doing without him. That was about all I got out of it.
I cannot believe, like, the hits keep coming. I mean, holy Dinah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.